Hey y'all, what's going on? It's your boy Smitty here. Today we are going to build a new process 246 automatic transfer case. Now this isn't just any 246. This is a hybrid, so to speak. It goes behind a 1500 HD. So if you're gonna like this kind of content, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Smash that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm. And there's a little red subscribe button right next to it that says subscribe. Smack that dude and turn your bell notification all. And yeah, let's get into this. Okay, so we had to pick up a couple of pieces because he brought me a transfer case that was a regular 246. And let me show you the difference. Let me get this input shaft off of here. Alright, so this is a normal 246 planetary. If you notice, it's only got 4 planets in it. So on a normal 246 behind a half ton, no, just about anything, they're only going to have 4 planets in it. The gear is different also. And let me show you what I mean. But this gear actually goes down in here, like so. And then there's a thrust washer and a retainer and a snap ring that goes on top of it. So this one, if you look at the splines, this one's made to go behind a 4L60E. And that won't work on a 1500 HD because 1500 HD has a larger diameter output shaft. Now if you look at those two together, you can physically see the difference in the diameter. Get them side by side. You can see the spline count's quite a bit different. The gear tooth is the same, but the spline count's different. The other thing is, by the way, this shaft part number I picked up off of, I think I found it on eBay. But there's your part number, 77839. Yes, unfortunately, it's made in Taiwan. But it fits these transfer cases, and it's a 32 spline for the 4L80. Okay. Also, now this one I had to get this from GM. There's your part number for that, 84635180. This is a planetary set that is a 6-pinion. Now you can do this 6-pinion planet on your half ton if you want to. It won't hurt a thing. The only difference is on this particular deal, on a 1500 HD, they use the 6-pinion planet. They don't use the 4 because they figure you're going to do more abuse with it. So then that dude would just sit right down in there, like so. And, you know, you put a thrust washer on top of there and the other washer, and you're good to go. So, yeah, I mean, they're physically the same. So it's not a big deal. And I've got a new cup bearing to press in this side. It goes right down in here. I may have to take this to work and do it, because I'm afraid if you do it otherwise, you're end up boogering up this bearing. And I don't think it'll go in there with what I've got here. So I'll probably take this to work and press this bearing in, and then come back to it. We'll see how things go. Anyway, so that was the major the deal. And then, of course, if I didn't show you, this one also had, it was starting to wear the pump lands. Now see, this one still has the retainer in it, surprisingly enough. But you can tell that it's starting to eat into the case. While we're in here, I went ahead and picked up another one of these case saver kits. Yeah, the box, which is basically the pump cover. And it's got these big, nice big ears on them. So we'll be putting one of those on the pump. Shiny. So yeah, Merchant Automotive makes this. I found these that looked identical and I figured I'd try them. They were a little bit cheaper than the Merchant one was. I don't know if they're the same quality. They looked identical, so I figured what the hey, we'll try it. So anyway, yeah. The other thing on the half tons is the encoder motor. If you notice, the encoder motor on a half ton is splined, where on a 3/4 ton it's just got like a D-shaped tooth, this dude right here. So, and it does only go on one way. If you can see, there's a flat there, you can see it right there. So you need to make sure, don't force your encoder motor in or you'll crack the case. Yeah, that's easy to do, and I'll show you an encoder motor because that's exactly what happened to this one. Is the case got broke on it. So I got a junk encoder with a good case, so we're going to swap them around. So anyway, I'm going to try to attempt to put this bearing in here, see if I can do it, and we'll see what happens. Well, that went really smooth. I should have turned on the camera, but I didn't. I just used this piece of aluminum to get it down in there, and once it got started, it went right down in there. I mean, it's snug, but it's not overly tight. And then I took just a big socket, put it right down in there, and gave her a few smacks until it got just below the lip, and that's how the other one is. So that went pretty good. So we'll get this planetary put together and go from there. Okay, so this planetary is pretty easy. There's nothing that goes in the bottom here, down here. Those are just oil passages to make sure everything gets oil. So this dude goes in there like this. Then you get this kit that I got. It's got 2 different thickness shims. So we'll put one in there and see what happens. Then you get your thick retainer that goes on top. And this is the factory one that came out of it. And it's the same thickness. So we're just going to put a new one in there. Put your snap ring back in. And that's as simple as that. Alright, so we'll set that off to the side. Start by putting our bearings in our case. Okay, you got 2 of the same bearing and then 1 thick bearing. This is your output shaft bearing. and this one is a little rough. But it's better than the one that was in it, I can tell you that. Now these have got a cage on one side and are open on the other side. I always put the cage towards the outside. So let's flip it over. Put our front output shaft bearing in. You may have to give this a little persuasion. Just to get it to go down in there, because it is a tight fit. Well, it's not tight, but it's snug. And then your input shaft bearing, which goes all the way down in here. Like that. Alright, you should have two retainers. And they'll be the same size. That should be one of them. That should be another one. There's one. And put your other one down in here. There we go. One important note is there's a notch right there. Get it there. There's a notch right there, and then there's two notches down in there. Make sure not to get your opening of your snap ring in those notches. You want them, you know, in a solid area. Alright, so you're good with that. So, time to put your front output shaft in. Again, this is a snug fit, so you'll probably have to give her a little persuasion. Just don't hammer on this area here, because you don't want to damage it. I'm using a piece of aluminum. That should be good there. trick is you want to be able to expose your snap ring groove on the other side, because there's a snap ring that goes right down in here. I do believe I'm there. Yep. Okay. So you got another snap ring that goes in there. There's one. Alright. Same thing on your input shaft. And your input shaft is actually the planetary that you just put together. This dude right here. So slide that down in the case. Like so. Come on the other side. Now you're going to want to hold this like horizontal, because if you tilt it back, of course it's going to fall back out the other side. So find you another snap ring. This dude right here. Trying to get this where y'all can see it. Try to hold on to it here to get that snap ring down there. Look at that snap ring. Make sure I don't have another one floating around in there. Nope, that's it. It's just going to be tight. Kind of them German parts, guten tight. Need something to hold that up there. That would work. Use my aerosol sprayer can. That ought to fly. Just so I can get this snap ring down in there. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to tell you, don't get in a hurry to put these seals in. The seals are the very last thing that you want to put in on this thing, because otherwise you're going to be fighting it the whole time. And if you got to take them out, this front one over here ain't cheap. So let's put our adapter on here. All right. So now, I didn't even realize I spun my mic off there. Okay, so we're ready to put in our lower gear and our lower fork. And I got new pads for the fork, because the old ones were worn pretty good. So you can put this on here. Okay, so you can put this on there, slide that in that fork. Why is that wanting to do that? When that just dandy. Can't use the fork pads they give you with it, it won't fit in the gear. These weren't too bad a shape anyway, I just figured I'd replace them while they're there, but you know, hey, if can't do it, can't do it. Alright, so we put the factory forks back in it, and it slides right in. Make sure you get your fork in the right position. Alright, get that set down in there. You can put your shaft in. Sits on there like that. Then you're ready for your mode fork, which it basically sits in here on top like that. and you'll have your two big pins that go in either side. Run them dudes down. That'll be tight enough on those. And now that you got that in, then you're ready for your output shaft. Now I went through this thing on the teardown, so you've all already seen the inside of it. The only thing is, when you're putting this in, this little tab right here goes towards the outside of the case. It should sit in there just about like that. Okay, so now you got that in. So the next thing is your chain and gears. Chain and gears, just set them down on there. Kind of like a hat trick. You can get one to go on, but then you can't get the other one to go on. As the mic falls off again. Okay. Now you're ready for some snap rings. These two will be the same. You know, one on each gear. There's one. There's two. All right. So now's the time you're going to want to put your pump and everything to get together. So go ahead and slide your tube in there. Like so. And we're going to push this off to the side to do our pump modification. Alright, pump mod is very simple. You've got a Torx. And I'm going to recommend going back with these Torx. I found on the last one I did, there was something about those screws that didn't work very good. Alright, just pop your cover off. Oh, left that part of the gear in there. Okay. Get your new cover. Just line up the holes. Alright, you can run these down with a power tool, but I would highly recommend going over them with a ratchet. Alright, all there is to it. Make sure you've got an O-ring in there for your pump. And then slide your pump on there. Make sure when you put this tube in over here, when you do this tube here, make sure that you get this tube all the way in there like that. So if you don't, that thing will suck air. Do the best you can with the magnet. It's tough to get all the crap off of it, but it goes right down here in this pocket, right down there. All right, now that you got your pump on, you've got a speed sensor reluctor. Goes on there. There should be a little spring that goes in between there, but oh, I do still have it. It actually goes on there first, like that. Then that goes on there. Just keeps tension on it. Then your output shaft bearing. Like that. And you got this big old dude goes on there. All right. That is all you have to do on the interior of the transfer. So take your little cleaning solution, brake wash, whatever you have, and clean your sealing surface off real good. You are at that stage where you're going to seal this dude up. Okay, same thing with that we did with the other one. the 263. I don't know if I got enough in this tube or not, but we're going to try it. Jabita anaerobic. All right. As you can see, I've got a bead of anaerobic all the way around. That's about all it takes. So it's time to put the case on. Touchdown. Alright, run all these down. Your center and work your way out. Alright, torque them babies to 22 foot-pounds. Just to keep from making a huge mess, which you'll inevitably put your hand in this. Take and wipe your excess anaerobic off. I don't like wiping it off because it does make a mess. It goes on the same principle that people see this red stuff and they think that the transfer case is leaking, when in actuality it's not. Because on the auto transfer cases, the 246 transfer cases, it takes the Smurf oil. We called it Smurf oil because it's blue. Called Auto Track 2. I need a new towel. But then they think that the transmission there that's leaking, when it's in reality it's not. Now you have this bearing and snap ring here. The easiest way to do that, this one's actually got a little bit of tension on it, which is fine. Get you a screwdriver, go through one of your speed sensor holes, and get underneath the gear. So as you're spreading this, see if I can get you where you can see that. Alright, that's about as good as I'm going to get it. But there's a little snap, there's a snap ring in there. And watch what I do here. So get in between that snap ring right there. What we got going on here? Alright, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but alright, if you notice in right in here, there's a groove right back in there, and man, I really want to show you this. There you can see it. That groove right there in that snap ring, what had happened is that snap ring got on the other side of that groove. The case is a little bit worn on the side, which is not uncommon. But it makes it a booger if that snap ring gets caught in there, because then you try to get it pushed in. But there you can see it, it's back in the groove and everything's all hunky-dory. Alright, so what you got left to do now is put your speed sensors in. And this transfer case uses 3 of them, and they're all the same, so you can't get them mixed up. One goes right here. One goes over here. And then you got one that goes over the front output shaft. All right. And you got a plug. Goes right here. And then the last thing that we're going to go over, this is done. So the last thing we're going to go over is the encoder motor. Now, save the last, best for last, I guess you could say. The 2 seals. You get your input shaft seal, and you get your front output shaft seal. The front output shaft seal That's your national number, 710-495, and that's what it looks like. And it takes a special tool to put that in, because what happens is if you try to put it in by hammering here, you're going to crush this seal and then it doesn't work. So they make this tool. It's by Adaptacase, and it just fits over there like that. It just fits perfectly on that seal, and when you put it in there, you just take and slide that right in the input shaft there and give her some wax, and it'll go right on there. Just like that. And that seal is properly installed. Is the input shaft seal right down here. And that's a 710-645. And it looks like this. This is your inside with the spring. That's your outside. Now this you're going to have to get creative with, because it's an oddball size. So whatever you can find to work. Yeah, that was a nice thought. Let's see here. What can I use to get that in there? Well, that might work. Use an old bearing and that shaft. That might just work. Oh! Look out. Flying everywhere. Just like that. And it won't hurt it to have a little bit of a lip on it. It's in there. It ain't going anywhere. I don't think I can get it to go in any further anyway. We'll try it. Yep, it's in there. All right, ladies and gents, boys and girls. It is done. All right, y'all, so what'd you think? There's our 246 transfer case, all done and ready to go. So I'll be happy to get this back to them. These things take AutoTrack 2 fluid from the factory, but if you use Dexron 3 or I think multi-use vehicle, it's compatible as long as it's synthetic. It'll work just fine in these. Other than that, yeah, that's it. So if this is some content that you liked, make sure to hit that thumbs up. Helps the YouTube algorithm. Then there's a little subscribe button there over to the right, red one, big red one. It says subscribe. Smack that dude, and then turn your notification bell on. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave me a comment. I do read your comments and I do respond to them. So with that being said, that's going to be it for this video. So until next time, y'all take care of yourself, take care of each other. God bless you, and God bless America. Bye-bye.